Hi, I'm Rob Cowley. I'm the author of the Manx Bedtime Story series.
I'm Stephen Downward. I'm the school's team lead at I'll Listen.
Now, Rob, it's a little while since we last spoke to you. Last time we were talking about a Manx fairy.
Yes.
And this was the first in a series of books that you've been writing for children. And now you've got the second one. Tell us about it.
Yes, the first one was called Pink, The Adventures of a Manx Fairy, written over the lockdown period. And now we've got Red, a Manx dragon called Rufus, which is all about a young dragon who perhaps doesn't feel as though he fits in very well. And the story tells how he becomes a little isolated, then is brought back into the fold and is made to be very happy.
So why did you want to take that tack with it?
It's just something that I think mental health is a very key issue at the minute. And my previous life as deputy head of St Ninian's and current role as governor of Ashley Hill School, you just notice there's been a real explosion in mental health issues, and then over COVID has become quite an important area to try and help with, I think.
So in your experience, I'm sure you have seen over the years working in the education system how stories like this, I'm assuming, can really reach out and affect children in a positive way. Yes,
I think so. And particularly my thought is that that sort of nighttime, bedtime reading with your parents and grandparents is a crucial little lovely moment in the family and an important time where you can get a message across. So I've kind of found my style now, which is to write a story, but with that sort of message underneath it that's supportive and hopefully will encourage those thoughts and discussions between parents and children.
And especially as a bedtime story, because I love the fact that you say in the book that you hope it stimulates the imagination, promotes discussion and encourages happy and colourful dreams.
Yeah. Well, I think when you sort of think about a pink sparkly fairy and then a nice red dragon, they're the sorts of nice thoughts and dreams to go to sleep on. And I'm very encouraged by the fact it's had such a good reception from those who've read it so far.
Yes, because you have reviews by children readers, haven't you?
I have. When I got in touch with I'll Listen and they took an interest in the book, they did ask that I share it with some students. And so I took it up to Ashley Hill, where I'm a governor. And with a little bit of trepidation, handed it over to the Year 5s. And they came back with some very positive reviews and some good ideas, which I then tweaked the story with. So that was very, very useful for me.
And we're joined by Stephen from I'll Listen. And Stephen, this book is also raising funds and awareness for your charity. What does that mean to you and why is that important to you?
Well, as Robert said, especially over the last couple of years, mental health in young people has severely been impacted by that. And as a charitable initiative, any funds that we get goes directly towards, supplying that mental health support. We're now working with students in Year 3 upwards and in secondary schools as well. So it's really, really important. And what I love about this project is that just like the book, it's fun, it's engaging. And that's the approach we take with primary school children's. We take some of these topics around emotional literacy and self-esteem, but we don't go into these schools and tell them what needs to happen. We facilitate and get them to come to their own conclusions and talk about it. So the reading element as well as the classroom setting really ties in together.
So you'll be using Rufus as a tool, I'm assuming, will you? Bringing it into schools?
Yeah, so it's Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. So with that, what we've done is we obviously want to try and raise awareness of that. So we're going to gift a few books to each of the primary schools so the kids can actually read it, they can talk about it, which is really, really good. So we're really excited to be doing that as well as other stuff.
And you have tested the book, haven't you?
I have tested the book, yeah. I read it with my 7-year-old daughter who thinks it's absolutely amazing. She loves reading, so she would have been a harsh critic if she wasn't a fan, but she was.
Thank goodness for that.
I know, he's mopping his brow with a relief at the moment. And Rob, I do love the message behind this book and the idea that Rufus is a slightly different dragon than the other dragons.
Yes.
But you say, why fit in when you were born to stand out? So it's about celebrating your differences.
It is, and finding your own voice, I think, is another key message within the story. Again, we tend to find a lot of children who will just be on the sidelines, who are struggling to find their own voice and to be part of the community. And I think that's the message within it is that everybody has a place and everybody should have a voice.
And speaking of a voice, we should mention as well the completely brilliant Carmen St John Kane, who's illustrated this again.
She is amazing. From 2 years ago, when she was 13 and drawing on bits of paper for our first book, she's now 15 and using very sophisticated computer software to generate the illustrations, and it's been an absolute joy over these 2 years to see her emerge as an artist and gain confidence. And she's now well into her GCSEs, and we've just been writing references to get her into college to do the art course there. And that has been, for me personally, a real joy of the whole project that we've embarked on.
It's fantastic to hear this, and I think as well, Stephen, that the idea that there are people on the Isle of Man who are going out of their way to support and help in these ways. I mean, that must mean a lot to you as well, because charities and organisations can only do so much themselves, really, can't they? Yeah,
and I think as our lessons evolved, it's got bigger. We're in more schools now. The work's, increasing, the demand's increasing, and it's people like Robert who do this and, think of us. We're very, very grateful for that, because not only has Robert designed this book, but he's also continuing his fundraising pledge towards I Listen, which is just wonderful. And also, even from a company perspective, Lloyd's have helped us, get them books as well, so we can actually then give them to schools and make sure this really important message gets to schools. So all the community support we get is just really, really grateful for.
And I must mention Lucy Felton at Lloyd's, because it was by pure accident. I went in to get the big cheque to give to Breast Cancer Now. And
this is for the Manx Fairy book.
That was for the Manx Fairy book. And I was introduced to her because she found the cheque in the back cupboards, and we started to talk. And it was her vision. She put Our Listen and the story of Rufus together and put the two of us in the same room to talk. And that's how this all kind of emerged.
Not you and Rufus the Dragon, you and I Listen,
yes,
obviously,
true.
Yeah.
But it took someone like that who has a sort of overview of different charities on the island to see that the book had a real sort of charity option with Our Listen, and I'm very grateful to that.
And it's also quite an interactive book, because you have a creation station section.
Well, we do. That's there's two lovely twins who live in the UK who I got to know via the Pink Fairy book, and whenever I talked to them, they would be crafting, and so I decided that I'd do this sort of colouring in page and interactive page at the back of every one of the books now. So Freya and Erin always contribute a picture for that page. And what was lovely about the Pink book is they took it into World Book Day at their school, which I just thought was lovely. So they've been the architects behind the craft page, and it's something that will be part of all the books.
Oh, it's just such a lovely idea. And Stephen, while you're here, we should ask, if there's anyone listening who has a young person with them, whether a family member or someone they know that might be struggling, what would you say is the best course of action for them?
Yeah, well, obviously one of the main aims of our listeners is removing that stigma. So it all comes around talking about any concerns. We start that at such a young age, getting these young people to try and acknowledge their feelings and stuff like that. So if anyone is in a secondary school setting, they can, use our listening service in the secondary schools. And from a primary school, if anyone does have any questions, any parents out there or anything, they can contact us at schools@ourlisten.im, and we can help them with the next steps should they wish.
And throughout this week, obviously, it being Children's Mental Health Awareness Week, you are going to be going into schools and really working with children. Yeah,
we are. And what's lovely about the timing of this book is obviously with it being Children's Mental Health Awareness Week, we will obviously gift the books to the primary schools, but then we're also launching a poetry competition, which the theme for Mental Health Awareness Week, which is in May, is around loneliness. So we're going to be asking primary school students to get involved in that competition, where they can write a poem on an A4 sheet around loneliness, because it'll support their phonics and their literacy and stuff like that, and kids always have the best imagination. So it's just a lovely timing, really, if you like. And we're also, last year we encouraged corporates to light up their building to really remove that stigma. So again, we'll be launching that and asking businesses to get involved as well. So there's lots going on as well as other resources.
This is so lovely to hear, because just recently I was chatting with young Alfie Owen, 11-year-old poet who started writing as a result of having some trauma in his life, and he says that writing poetry really helps him. So I think that's another thing, isn't it, that it can actually really aid you if you are struggling as well, just the notion of writing as well.
Absolutely, and that's again a common theme we talk about all students is it's one thing might not work for one, but actually if we look at different ways of dealing with different emotions and feelings, there will definitely be one that absolutely helps. That's a lovely success from that, isn't it?
It is really nice. And Robert, we should ask then, how do we get hold of this fabulous book, Rufus the Manx Dragon?
Well, this is just touches on how supportive I think people have been. It again was supported by the Isle of Man Arts Council, who kind of have helped me get this whole project off the ground and able to run. And Patricia Wilde has been very supportive as well. But the people who've then come on board, I mean, ShopRite will sell in all their stores. Suzanne at the Mostly Manx shop will put on a wonderful display in her window and sell, as will the Lexicon. David down at the Lexicon has supported all the books so far. And then if you can't get to one of the shops, you can buy it online at Bunch Creative. So if you go onto Bunch Creative online, onto their book page, you can then order it online. And I must just say a big thank you to Phoebe at Bunch Creative. She is an absolute genius when it comes to graphic design. So when you see the book and you'll see it's beautiful, that's her work, is putting the book together. So I'm very grateful to have had Carmen's wonderful illustrations and Phoebe's brilliant design for the book, which just makes it come to life. So for me, it's just lovely.
And second in a series, what's next then?
What's next? It's already undergoing. It's called Blue, and it's about a fire engine called Walter, and it's about respecting age and wisdom, because I think that's another important message. We tend in our society generally to see old people in a different light, rather than in many cultures where they are seen as the wise and venerated in the society. So it's about Walter, who's stuck in a shed and forgotten about. Could be autobiographical, I don't know, but we'll just sort of see how it develops. And there's another young illustrator called Greya who's come into the family on the project, and she's now playing around with images for that as well. So whilst Carmen is sort of in amongst all her GCSE work, we thought we'd try someone else along to see if they would like to illustrate as well.
Fantastic. Well, do keep us posted on that, obviously. Lovely to speak with you both. All the best with Red, Rufus the Manx Dragon. It is a fabulous book. I've had a chance to read it so far. It is beautiful. You will not be disappointed if you get your hands on this one. And let us know about Blue when it's out.
Hopefully towards the end of the year. If you ever get a chance to visit the Magic Kingdom, look out for Rufus. You will probably hear him singing. Maybe you will see him sleeping on a hilltop and snoring. He could even be selling his now world-famous lemonade to visitors by the gates of the castle. Who knows? Or perhaps, one day, you will just get to feel his strength inside of you as you grow up and discover your own talents. These things take time, but, just like Rufus, one day you will find your own voice to share with everybody. The end.